Hi everyone. In this video I will show you one custom website or web application deployment tool. In plain English, this means that with this tool you can upload files from your development machine up to production server for your website, and you can do this via FTP or via shared folder. Besides this tool is automatically doing website backup before any changes, and in case of any error it will revert your website to previous state. So all or nothing is guaranteed when doing deployment with this tool. It also compresses your files before doing upload and decompress them after upload on web server. And all is easily configured and automatically executed. Finally, you can run this tool after every publish command in your Visual Studio or other website or web application development environment. So there is a way to integrate this for Visual Studio. First thing that comes to your mind is, why do I need this tool? Because I have something similar in my development environment, like Visual Studio. This tool allows you to easily configure which files or folders from root you want to upload and which you don't want to upload, and also which ones you want to backup and which ones you don't want to backup. For example, if you have some data in your website folder and this data is taking a lot of disk space, you don't want to upload this data every time. Another example is when you have web application in your Visual Studio or website which is not really prepared properly for deployments, and you don't have time allocated to deal with this, you can use this tool to quickly, elegantly, and automatically do deployments every time. Do I support idea of continuous integration for your solution? Absolutely. Do I support keeping websites at Azure cloud? Absolutely. So this tool can help you if for some reason you don't use those and you still want to automate your website publish. I will quickly show you how this looks like. So you first select your earlier configured profile for particular website. You enter name of your deployment, practically what has been changed on website since your last publish, and over here you select which steps you want this tool to perform. And when you click execute, give it a few minutes to gather files, compress them, upload them to backup your website on server, and replace website files. In the end, it can show you the latest version of your website. While those files are being compressed into zip, I will show you which program files this tool is using. Those are just additional libraries. I will tell you about this file later, and besides executable file you have configuration file, log file, and this is automatically generated configuration for web server, and over here you have actual compressed files that are being uploaded to web server. our upload just happened. And the program pulled log from server, so you can track it on your client machine, and finally you can see the new version of your website. In this demonstration, I actually uploaded new version of this website to production server, and I will show you which steps you can choose from. First step is gathering and building of this zip file. Second step is actual upload. In order to work, this tool must have copy of itself on server, so you can upload it only first time, or you can force it to upload itself every time. It actually performs check whether all files are in best shape on the server, and if this is not the case, it will re-upload itself. But if for some reason you're doing some kind of debugging, or you just want to make sure that you have latest version on your web server, you can force it to upload itself in anyways. Of course, over here you choose whether you want uploads to happen via FTP or shared folder. Remember, for each upload you previously need to configure this tool in INI file. I will show that later. Next steps are being executed on web server. Before everything is changed on your website is being backed up on server. I will show you. So here is a place where my website is, and as you can see, this tool made a complete, well, not complete, but pre-configured copy of your website, and as additional step, it put copy of next version that replaced your old version of your website. You can choose whether you want this backup to happen or not. And this tool stops your website before replacing files. This is necessary in some cases only, so that you don't get file already in use error. So to avoid that, you can tell this tool to stop website, and good idea for same reason is to stop websites pull, app pull in IIS, and sometimes several websites on IIS share the same pool. So if this is the case, this tool will not touch your app pool for this reason, but with this option you can still force it to do it. This tool supports IIS6 and IIS7. You can try it on latest server, and at the step 8 actual backup of website is being done. So after the pull, after the website has been stopped, over step 4 is actually for backing up zip file, and step 5 is for backing up executable file and DLL files for this tool itself. At step 9, actual replacing of files happens, and at step 10 and 11 your site will be rerun. If for some reason you don't want to leave trace on your web server, or for some security measure, you can remove this tool from server. But if you leave it, next time you run this, you will not need to re-upload files for this tool again. So your uploads will finish somewhat earlier. And finally, you can preview your website in browser. If any error happens during those steps, your website will be reverted back to previous state, but of course only if you performed a backup of your website. Let me now show you how I quickly publish my website from within Visual Studio. I'm rebuilding my website and publishing website to local folder on my machine. At this moment, this tool is being run by Visual Studio, and he will practically perform same steps that I already showed you. In this case, you will not have to choose options on the user interface, but this tool will use predefined options from your INI file, configuration file. I now just want to demonstrate you uploading to via shared folder. If you don't have FTP configured on your web server, you can, and you do have this server on your same network, or you have a VPN, you can share folder, and your website will be uploaded to that folder. I actually don't have VPN to my web server, so I will just blindly upload my site to my another machine where I actually don't have IIS installed, so I won't be able to show you those 4 steps. I strongly recommend that you use a shared folder for uploading your website instead of FTP, because everything is quicker and the configuration is easier. It's not surprising that I got error, because on that machine I don't I don't have folder structure, and as you can see, a rollback for your website happens in case of error. I just created a website folder over there, and as you can see, all steps were performed, including upload to shared folder. Now let's dive into configuration for this. This is INI file where you place configuration for each of your websites. You can have multiple websites or multiple configurations for single website. Each configuration is called profile, and it exists between those double lines. I have a configuration just for a single site, but by simply copying existing configuration and pasting it on at the end of the file and renaming profile name, you can have an additional configuration, and when I run deployment tool again, I will have that additional configuration in drop-down list. So in first parameter you define profile name. This is default deployment title that is actually used only when you integrate your this tool with Visual Studio. And over here you have example for integration with Visual Studio. What you need to do is to put those this tag right before, at the end of your project file, before this closing tag. Here is my project file, and here is the tag that I inserted. Of course, you will have to change path to the tool, and for this parameter, how much seconds, put in time that pass between getting successful build and finishing copying of files to local folder. This is actually a workaround to one problem in which I couldn't find a way to call this tool after Visual Studio finishes its published task, but this tool is called a little bit earlier in this point here, and I'm pausing the execution for the tool during the time necessary for Visual Studio to finish this task over here. If you know a better solution to this, actually better way to write this code, let me know. With this parameter over here, you can chain events. You can execute batch file or some other file. Actually, you can open any file specified in this line, and it will be called before all steps. And with this parameter over here, you actually define default steps that are checked on user interface when you open the tool, or steps that are being performed if you triggered the tool from your development environment automatically. You need to specify a local folder on your development machine where you published your website. And in this parameter here, you can specify all root files or folders that you don't want to upload to server. I'm using inverse logic so that you have to write as little as possible. So I'm assuming that you want to upload almost all files, but you don't want to upload just a few of them. And of course you can specify folder here. Only root files and root folders are supported. Here is the configuration for upload to shared folder. It is advisable for those credentials to belong to admin account. You specify the actual folder, and you can leave this section empty if you are using FTP, and vice versa. For FTP credentials for FTP folder, upload folder for FTP. This is also upload folder for FTP, but written as absolute local folder path for server machine. So those two parameters indicate same folder but in different way. And here is the most boring parameter. This is the reason why I don't recommend using upload via FTP, because you have to do additional configuration on your server. You need to upload via the ASAJAX file. This is like a single web page that contains all logic for triggering uploaded remote part of the tool. And it is recommended that you create separate website on IIS for this single page, and set admin credentials for that separate website. In this comment you have explained how to do that exactly. Here are the remaining parameters, not specific to FTP nor upload to shared folders. This is the location of your actual website on production. It's written as absolute local path. Location for your backup, again, as absolute local path. And in those two parameters you can define which root files or folders you want to backup and which you don't want to backup. Again, I'm assuming that you want to backup almost all files, but because if you, for example, have some big data in few folders, in few root folders of your website. You don't want to back up them every time and take unnecessary space, so you can skip them. And you can also backup files and folders that will be replaced by new version from zip, but you can also backup files that will stay unchanged after deploying new version. It is again additional security. And if everything went well, you can execute another batch file or application, or open any file that is specified by specifying its path in this parameter, and this allows you to chain successive events that happens after your website has been deployed. And note that this is happening on your development machine, not on your web server. And finally, here you specify URL that will be triggered for previewing your website after successful deployment. That's it.